All right, let's draw for turn. We're here to bring you commander insight and hot tech to level up your game. Each episode focuses on a different topic with our four-person pod to bring you all our spicy take on it. It's been a couple weeks. We've been chilling out, had some great games. What is going on in no particular order? I'm going to start with EK this time. EK, what's going on?
I've played more Commander in the last 2.5 weeks than I've probably played, like, ever in a 2-week span. So that's what's been going on.
Love
That's
it.
because your schedule freed up a whole bunch.
I've started waking up at like 5 o'clock in the morning because of the dog, and I've just been taking advantage of it. So I'm no longer like editing at night. I'm like done by before dinner and like can actually enjoy my evenings now. So it's worked out that way, and we're still in the middle of a pandemic, so it's not like we have anywhere to go. So I've just been playing Magic.
That about sums up life. I mean, I
Nowhere to go. Play Magic.
Yeah. What's really changed? I mean, we played before. We're playing now. What's changed? We've made more friends.
This is my social life.
Yeah,
it's just what I do. You know.
100%. I get. Adam, my dude, what have you been up to? It's been a couple weeks.
Well, in the 2 weeks since we've last talked, I read the card Toralf, and I learned what he did, and he killed me.
Oh, yeah, he's pretty good. He's pretty good.
Someone had a Toralf, so I played our good friend of the show, Rod Johnson, and I engaged in a magical pod, and he resolved his. He was playing the Prismatic Bridge or whatever. That was called the Bifrost card or whatever.
That's yeah.
Yeah.
I was playing Breaches, and I cut him 2 cards from the top of his deck, which somehow cut him right down to for his upkeep flip right into Toralf, and he had a Blasphemous Act in hand, and we all died.
Oh.
I'm not even mad. I'm actually kind of impressed, though.
Well, hold on. We wouldn't have died had I read Toralf, because I thought Toralf said the creature's controller takes the damage, and I figured it would be like a 2-person game after that, because the other player had some two big artifact creatures like that, where he would have just taken, if that was the case, he would have taken 2 damage, where I would have taken 65.
Right.
But because it said you can do it to any target, the excess damage can be applied to any target. We all died. Everyone died because I negated his counterspell on the Blasphemous Act because I didn't understand how Toralf worked.
Yikes.
What's that phrase of dying to your own hubris? This references sentiments to
This
that.
was more dying to not reading.
I feel
Reading
like
the
that's
card
hubris.
explains the card.
Yeah.
I did read it in my brain, and I knew what it did.
I'm just giving you crap. That's a heck of a way to go, though. I mean, at least that's a good, like, that's a funny lethal.
Yeah, I'm not mad about it. I'm like, well, you got me.
Good to do.
I was just sad because the deck didn't get to do what it really likes to do, which is play my opponent's decks.
Or have oopsie infinites.
Yeah.
By playing their
I
opponent's
take it.
decks.
No, I take it back. I did get to play a Broodstar and a Strionic Resonator and a land, which was pretty fun. So that was it. I really never like got the everyone's a pirate thing out kind of thing. So we didn't get to do this. Here's this gutter slab. Also, it's a pirate kind of thing.
I think, like, from now on, whenever you bring out that deck, I just want to hear, like, the song from Lazy Town, Yar Har Fatal DD, being a pirate is alright with me. Just you have to play it.
Yeah,
it's a thing.
You got it.
Swazi, man,
All right.
what about you, man?
Outside of working, I have played 45 minutes of Magic the Gathering. It was a great 45 minutes against a good friend of mine. We played one matchup, Modern Storm versus Mono Red Prowess, Modern. And we played the majority of the game sideboarded, because we never do. Because typically I just sit there because he's my good friend and I'll let him beat the shit out of me in game 1 over and over again. But
after you're done, I did do one other thing this week.
Oh yeah.
So go ahead.
I won 3 games of Magic. That was fun.
I'm so proud of
I
you.
never get to because his deck is literally engineered to beat the shit out of mine and kill me quickly. But when you have some interaction, a lot of fun things happen. Interaction, Magic. Other than that, I just worked a lot. Adam, what's up?
Yeah. So me and my friends decided. My one friend decided, like, how come like Hymn to Torak and Hypnotic Spectre are not good in EDH? I miss those cards. I miss Dark Ridding into a hippie or hippie. You. I'm like, all right, well, I mean, we can play like Legacy if you want to play. Like, where can I play? It's like, well, we can play them in Legacy. He's like, that's a great idea. It's like, how much does Legacy cost? Like, a lot. So my solution was, let's build $30 Legacy decks. So of course they built Mono Black Discard, featuring Hypnotic Spectre, Hymn to Torak, Dark Ritual, but also cards such as Order of the Ebon Hand, the Rack, and Necrotol.
Oh dear.
Oh, shit.
Oh dear.
So I countered in suit with building Teamer Energy. But fun fact, my deck includes a playset of Lightning Bolts, which was the entire the 4 bolts combined were the entire cost of the remainder of the deck, equal to the entire cost of the remainder of the deck.
Wow.
So I mean, it was close, but like the Coxon module unfortunately was not as good as Lightning Bolt, and we had the budget for it, so we just put Lightning Bolt. We put just 4 bolts in. Other decks that are featured in the I think another one of my friends is building another deck and playing oh, here we go. This Swazi might know about this little gem. Remember Psychotog?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's Psychotog with Zombie Infestation featuring 1 copy of Upheaval.
Oh, the dream.
Hold on.
Upheaval's the greatest card.
That one of those cards you just can't play in Commander that is not actually that expensive, but actually very good in 1v1.
It's the only reason that I haven't built some sort of Psychotog deck in Commander or like pre-modern or something, is because they don't use an upheaval strategy.
Yeah.
And I just want everything back to the hands.
But if you're curious about trying your hand at $30 Legacy, join us on our Discord, and I'll be happy to regale you in a game with my Teamer Energy Legacy deck. Well, I do air quotes, but it is actually a Legacy. I didn't really go too far. There's not many cards outside of Kaladesh. Unfortunately, most of the all the energy cards are in Kaladesh. But it does include Lightning Bolt, Miscalculation, Electrolyze, and some coming to play tap lands that fix my colors. So, I mean, when Thorn Falls and like Swiftwater Cliffs and Rugged Highlands are all like sense. You want to play a 3-color deck and get a $30 Legacy, that's kind of your only option.
Bless you.
Unless I want to like blow my budget on the man base. But I chose the bolts. I chose the bolts because it's iconic.
I guess you could, Shay. It was shocking.
Wow.
Sean, what did you do this week in Magic before you
It
have
was
to hear
not
more jokes?
shocking.
Honestly, if Magic this, it was just a bit of Commander. I had to take off last Friday night, just was not feeling good, and this weekend's just been like recouping. I haven't actively done too much for Commander. We did have one of our community members have their first Commander game last night, so that was exciting. Lord Typhus brought out Gishat the Dinos, his first big Commander deck, and rocked it down last night. We died to dinosaurs. Gishat was Ember Cleaved. Disgusting things happened.
Oh.
All right, then.
Yep.
Yeah, that's one way to do it.
Okay.
Yep, so we did not have removal. Dinos came a swinging, Embercleave was equipping, and so we died, but it was good. Honestly, like for a really fun interactive game, like we had like Daxos from Roska. I was just playing a Rixmathes. Magaringo was rocking out too. Just good chill time. He was rocking Sapling of Culpinor. So like good variety decks that kind of do things and just have that interaction, and we were just helping it out. But I mean, that was kind of it for me for the last couple weeks. But this week's gonna be pretty big. I'm heading on to Mr. Bever's tomorrow night for a Commander game, and then we got a special guest coming up on Friday night. So
This is true.
it's Friday's gonna be special.
Oh yeah, we do.
We do. We have Zbex from TikTok coming on.
Oh, back to the back.
No, Zbex. Zenade.
Oh, we're not that backs. Okay,
We're getting Beck back soon, but that's not the right Beck.
got it. Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna get some promo and stuff out, so keep on the eye out for that. But yeah, that was
I'm not gonna do this on that game. I'll tell you that much.
good. But yeah, that's it for me. I mean, I think we're ready to kind of delve into. I guess do we got any news on the stack this week? Is there anything new we gotta go over?
Our next show is inevitably going to be about Strixhaven. So,
Yeah, because the entire spoilers now. So you can go check it out yourself.
Yeah, that's really all there is to say.
No real news on the stack other than that. You can. Oh well. That's about it, I think. But yeah, so
let's leave it at that.
All right. Well.
Wow.
Now for this week's topic. Land
Are you guys
destruction
ready to get
you.
controversial? Because I am.
I mean, no. It's. But go on.
Well, let's get controversial.
So-
What's the show title?
Commander Faux Pas and the color white, because they're one and the same.
AKA airs his grievances.
It's not even a grievance when I have a shared opinion with someone on the show.
It's
I
also
didn't actually realize that was the exact title.
Oh yeah, it is. So like,
Because I know Steven's gonna get in on this too. Because on paper, it makes sense.
I'm sitting here behind my islands, drinking a beer and enjoying the show. Okay.
you won't have him
This is
after
gonna
another
be great.
So I guess like the big thing that kind of came in. So I posed a question to TikTok. If land destruction was more socially accepted, would white be a better color in Commander? That's kind of what prompted this whole discussion. And I mean, I think we've all kind of got our viewpoints. Like Adam, what's your view on LD and Stax?
Like the one sentence elevator pitch.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
if it has a purpose.
Oh,
Okay.
that was really concise. I like that.
Big Dad.
So let's just clarify what these things are first of all before we go any further. We should define what these things are. So we're talking about we're talking about land destruction / math land destruction and stacks, or taxation. I guess too.
Taxation.
It's all
think
encompassing.
I do think they get lumped into the same
Okay.
category.
So obviously, land destruction is exactly what you think it is. It's a spell or ability that will destroy a land. Usually your opponents, because why would you do your own unless you have a reason to do that, which sometimes you do. Like if you're playing Titania, Defender of Argath, then you definitely want to kill you definitely want to blow up some of your own lands. Mass land destruction means mostly clearing all of the lands on the board. Usually that's through a spell or effect. It can be a combination of effects, like, for example, it doesn't have to be, for example, Obliterate, which is a red spell, or Armageddon, which is a white spell. It could be something to the extent of, I have Cabal Fist of Crozet out, and I'm about to play Elishnor, and all your lands are about to get deleted.
It's my favorite combo, or one of them.
Valid.
And then Stax comes from the card Smokestacks, which is one of my favorite 1v1 cards. Basically, it causes people to not have a taxed effect for playing spells, or them not being able to do a fundamental part of the game. For example, a really recent and widely brought up one is Draft Magistrate, who does not allow you to play cards from outside the game. So you can
only cast spells from your hand.
Yeah.
You can only cast spells from your hand, so you can't cast. So no flashbacking, no jump starting, no
playing your commander from your command zone.
playing your commander from your command zone. That's the biggie. Other ones that are pretty classic include probably the ones that get the most shade thrown at them are Winter Orb, which doesn't allow you to untap more than one land a turn. Everybody, unless it's as long as it's untapped.
Correct.
Because the Urza player Swazo over there will be tapping that Winter Orb, so they can they don't have to get around that.
Or I'm gonna be playing it in conjunction with Feast and Famine.
Right, that too.
Yeah.
I will touch on specifically that Urza deck later. Go ahead.
Okay, and the other one that comes to mind, which is probably my least favorite card to play against, because every time I play against it, the person who played it had no idea what they were going to do after that, is Stasis, which is a enchantment with an upkeep cost that just says permanents don't untap. And that's no good, because that slows down the game tremendously. So I think the reason that these, I'm sure I speak for everybody, these effects take away something fundamental to playing Magic. whether it be mostly in the sense of casting spells. You cannot cast spells if you are derived of your resources. This is a resource-based game where you are not guaranteed a resource all the time, or to increase your resource allotment every turn you get to play. Right. That being said, if you are unable to play your deck, you're probably not having a very good time. That could be because you don't have enough mana, or you can't afford to play a spell. But there are other taxation effects. Well, I would say like I also put an asterisk here. Taxation and pull four are not the same thing. So stuff like Ghostly Prison does not fall in the same line as something like Blind Obedience, for example.
Right. I mean, like Vorinclex would be not a great example of Stax, but like Vorinclex forces your opponent's lane to stay tapped, whereas like
it says your opponents can only play every other turn.
Yeah.
So I think the big reason that I think the reason people don't like these cards, and because this is a quote unquote social format, so people want to be able to sit down and play a game together, and they don't want to be told that they don't want to have their quote time wasted. They don't want to not be able to play their cards. Mm-hmm. That it kind of rubs people the wrong way, especially when there's 4 of you. If it's 1v1, like it's different. That's a different animal, because Panza, which is another slang term for land destruction, is a archetype that has existed in Magic since the dawn of time.
Well, and like Death and Taxes is a legacy deck with a very fabled history as well.
Right.
Yeah, quite a lengthy one.
Right. It's just different when it's 1v1. Because I think the reason it's different, and this is an opinion here, because there's such a short amount of time between your turn and their turn, you actually get to play more, as opposed to having to wait for 3 other people to play before you, and maybe you didn't get to do anything on your turn.
Yeah, it's the concept of social equity.
Yeah.
You are 25% of the game and should strive to be 25% of the game. You have like this unwritten social obligation in the eyes of a lot of people to be 25% of either the time spent doing actions or 25% of the affected outcome.
Yeah. So I should say that there are 3. I mean, Stax really, all these different effects can really appear in any color. It just so happens that red and white do them the most. So
you hear about red and white the most, at least. Let's put it that way.
I mean, and I think you hear about white more so a bit more than red.
White's
because
white is such a fundamental part of the discourse as of the last 2 years in particular. As the format grows in popularity and population.
And I think that's we're going to touch on this, but I think that's exactly part of the problem too, is that those are fundamental identities of those colors.
That's exactly what it is. In my opinion.
So that is the primer for our discussion today, and the general consensus in the community is we don't like these things. People are unhappy about these, unless they're playing C, in which case there's no social contract, so everyone's trying to win, so no one cares what you do.
Well, the social contract is I'm trying to win.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, and it's by any means necessary, really.
Yeah.
So if I temporal fissure all your lands, then that was, and we're playing a C game. You agreed to this. Yeah, so being mad at me does not being mad at Ed because of this. Thank you. So for those of you who don't know, temporal fissure is a storm spell that basically lets you bounce a permanent for each cast. So it's not a non-land permanent, so you can make them pick up all their lands, leaving yours mostly untouched. This is the closest thing you're going to get to upheaval, basically.
That's legal.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it'll end up being a one-sided upheaval.
If I do that in a game of C, there should be no hard feelings. Nobody should be really offended by it. We were all in agreement when we sat down that the contract is we're trying to win. We want to have a good game.
Right.
But in any other space, these kind of things are viewed as either faux pas, unfriendly, or annoying. And some groups flat out will, say we don't want to play with those, or they will if they know someone's doing that, they will collectively try to tunnel them out of the game.
Yeah, and like I'll preface like that fundamental view of it's not okay really became transparent in the answers I got on TikTok. Like there was honestly quite an even divide between a lot of different takes and some interesting ones that came up. I mean, when we posed the question, we got like some people were like, yes, it's okay to have land destruction. That is going to make white better. No, land destruction doesn't do anything. White just is still going to be bad. And obviously there was the maybe because we just don't play the color. We don't know. Some people even went as far as to say there are better land destruction colors and better Stax combination colors. Like, it really was just a divide all over the place. There wasn't like one clear consensus aside from everyone's got an opinion that falls into an area. And like the main topic was, we understand this is a thing. We just don't kind of know how we feel. You either like it, think it's okay, or you don't like it, or you think there are better ways to do it.
All right, so let's get so now. So I think let's think about one. I think we can all agree on this in regards to land destruction, and I'll put this out there. Spot land destruction is always okay.
You should every single deck ever should be running spot land destruction, in my opinion.
I was gonna say I would argue it's necessary.
100%. Yeah.
So you're telling me I can't keep that Gaia's Cradle or that Cradle of Itlamok or that Sarah Sanctum
or the
Cabal Coffers or the Urborg in check? I'm just gonna let my opponent get off to their own devices and have that for the rest of the game. No questions asked.
But the good news is, the good news for that is you don't have to run like dedicated destroy target land stuff in your deck.
Just run strip mine.
You can run strip mine in the land base. You can run in the land base as like as a tech choice. You can run all the omni permanent removal will deal with it, like Assassin's Trophy and Chaos Warp and even Oblation.
Within,
Generous Gift.
Yeah, Generous Gift.
Yep.
And most of them actually like give your either give you a land back, both of you a land back, or give your opponent a land back. So
yeah, that's Field of Ruin.
Yeah.
Field of Ruin replaces itself with a basic, and then your opponent replaces their Cradle with a basic.
Yeah, so strip mine and Wasteland are not like, although they are like the cleanest answers to these things, where you do set yourself, you are setting yourself back slightly because you basically didn't get a land drop. Unless
you're playing a deck that is replaying that strip mine 15 times out of the graveyard every turn.
Sure, but that's
a corner case. That's a corner case, and we are very quick to say that is a corner case, but something that people do.
Yeah. So I would say, like, if you're not doing so already, I would say, like, you should be running as many omni permanent removal as options as you're allowed, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, you need something to deal with a multitude of different answers. Either way, there's going to be a fundamental card that comes up in a game that is a problem. It may be a creature, it may be an artifact, it may be an instant or sorcery, or it's going to be a land.
I mean, there's other cards that can say destroy target land on them that you can play. Like one of my favorites that has the card the text on it, destroy target land, is Casualties of War, which is a really good green-black Wrath card because it lets you selectively pick a bunch of permanents to blow up. One of the things is a land, so if you need to remove a land and you can get some other stuff too, I'd say that seems pretty good. Not only that, you can choose as many as you want. It's not like Decimate where you have to target all of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
That, and I would say, like, if let's say I wanted to run Stone Rain in a commander deck as my plus power animal, I could do it. I just don't get anything out of it. It's just one thing, and that's it.
I was gonna one up you on that one and say Ruination.
Ruination's a great one. Destroy all non-basics. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the one that I'm thinking of? Destroy all islands. Yeah.
Yeah, Boyle's that. If we're talking about things that also like selectively hit non-basics, there's Field of Ashes, I believe, or Burning Ashes.
That's destroy all non-basics, replace them with basics.
Yep.
So you just punish the greedy 3, 4, and 5 color mana bases for not running more basics.
Mm-hmm. There's Price of Glory, which is So maybe that's not really good. Okay, so when it comes to spot land removal, you should be running this right now. There is no question. The format has enough problem lands where you need to put something in your deck that can hit a land. at least one card, at least one or two things that can hit a land. If not, like, you're mostly going to be using your Omni permanent removal in most cases. But I want to say I run Strip Mine in like maybe 75% of my decks. It's just that good.
Yeah,
It's
the
absolutely
only
bad.
the only deck that I don't run Strip Mine in is my budget deck.
And if I'm not
because-
running Strip Mine, I'm running Field of Ruin.
Great alternative.
Well, yeah, or I'll run like Razia's Purification.
That's a good one. All right.
Again, incredibly mean, but it's a quarter versus $20.
Okay. All right. So I think we can all agree on that. Now we come down to the one that everyone seems to have like mixed opinions on, which is mass land destruction. So mass land destruction, and this is my opinion, has its place, but should not be the cornerstone theme of your deck, in my opinion, unless you're playing C and no one, and that's kind of like there's no rules really. You could do that if you want to. I just don't. Okay, if there's no point other than to make everyone completely irk to you, then it doesn't serve a purpose.
Yeah, it has to have intention.
Yeah, like, I'll go out and say, like, I like land destruction. I like mass land destruction. But it's not mass land destruction just for the sake of doing it. There is a purpose and reason for it. Like, if the game is ending.
Yeah, like, I don't run mass land destruction deck. Like, like, unless I can win from doing that, which normally is not the case.
I mean, I'm gonna speak for Sean and say, when, like, because he and I are the two people here who actually play it, we use it as a means to an end.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about Armageddon, which is probably the most common mass land destruction card.
That's the easiest example to pull from, at least.
Yeah,
so
it's the most known.
Yeah. Yes. So this is a card that, I'll just, for those of you who don't know, it's 4 and a white. 3 and a white for sorcery. Destroy all lands. That's it. That's 3 simple words on the card. I'll lose my house. I mean, destroy all lands. And that's it.
It's effective.
So it is extremely effective. Now it finds its way into certain decks. I was, and I've been a big advocate of this. I'll just give it a same example. If you're playing Kali of the Vast, a commander that is 100% like OG, has been around the format a long time, and is extremely like glass cannon edge, and it has the problem of, if you stop my game plan, I have to I have to start from scratch, and it's really hard. So the best way to do that is to deny your opponents the ability to either interact with your opponents or cast their spells altogether.
Yep.
So that, and also, so you would run Armageddon. I think Armageddon should be ran in every build of Kalia, no matter what.
I would sympathize with that, right? It's a way to continue your deck doing its things, because the deck, what other interaction does it have? You're putting out big things to attack.
What's its biggest weakness? Interaction.
Yeah.
So by definition, you are removing the interaction ability from your opponents.
Right.
It is a means to an end.
Right. Like Sean. That, and also in the Kalia deck, you do run Avacyn because you are on the Angel Tribe, so you can get an asymmetrical land right.
Well, and like, just in general, White's able to do that. You know, you Teferi's Protection in response to your Armageddon,
or like
Charm.
Or if you take Terra Eternal, if you, God forbid, you run Terra Eternal for whatever reason.
Yeah, like it needs a reason. There's a reason why you're doing it.
Yeah, like Sean in Palladium Wars runs Armageddon, because Armageddon is there to make sure you can't touch his commander, who is going to win the game for him 95% of the time.
Yep.
So I think it's fine. If you're doing it just to be annoying, or to basically, irk your friend.
Let me like refine your argument right now. If you're doing it just to do it.
If you're doing it to be spiteful, I'll put it that way.
Spiteful works.
I mean, yeah, I mean, like anything outside of a means to an end connotation, just doing it to do it, just doing it because you think it's funny, etc. That's where
most people will agree it's not funny.
It's when you're doing it just for like the sake of doing it, like You want to stand on the hill, stand on it. But no one else at the table is going to have fun, and you're not going to be doing much else.
Chances are, at least,
Yeah.
like, you know, overwhelming majority of the time. But, I mean, we're shying away from the question. Do you guys actually think that it makes white better? Like, we've argued the ethics of it. Do you think it actually makes it better?
Yeah, because yes, honestly, I do. Because what are two things that white is good at? Going wide, right? And combat. If they can't stat spells, they can't interact with your combat step. If they can't interact with your combat step, you're in good shape.
But I mean, on the same token, you know, a card like Bassandra or Conqueror's Flail, or, you know, cards like that say your opponents can't cast spells during your combat. Your opponents can't cast spells on your turn. Grand Abolisher does the same thing too. What's stopping me from just running a card like that instead?
You just run
You know, why would I run land destruction over a card like that?
Like, I think that would depend on your strategy, though, right?
Yeah.
Like, your entire strategy is dependent on what type of interaction
it's the same end result, but different means. And I think that's where I'm trying to, like, poke and prod at this, because it's like it's a valid perspective.
I think it's the idea of not that like, whereas Bassandra is like, you can't do something because this card says so. Armageddon is saying you can't do something because you don't have the resources to do it.
Yeah, even if you wanted to.
Yeah.
Right. Which is kind of like, I'll put another card, kind of like, this is kind of like veering into the stats category, but I remember talking to my friend about running Hall of Gemstones in his mono green deck, which is a great card, by the way. For those of you who don't know, it's a card that says on each player's turn, basically each player on their turn can choose one color, and that's all their mana produce that color, but they can only cast spells to that color. That's all players, all 4 players.
There's a black card. It's an enchantment that says all lands now only produce black mana.
Yeah.
Same vein.
I want to say Surreal runs that in his Marchesa deck.
He runs it, the Kamigawa. There's a Kamigawa like serpent. That's what again, tangential, but same idea. You know,
right?
It's a means to an end to have a lockdown.
So that card is like a double-edged sword, kind of, in a way, because while I get to play my turn with no, if I'm playing mono green, I'm playing Hall of Gemstones. I can play my turn with no interaction, but I can never play on the opponent's turns unless they call green. But also the opponents can't like. Let's say someone wants to beast within my keystone piece of my strategy right now, and it's on my turn, and I happen to call green on Hall of Gemstones. Nobody else can interact with it unless they have a green spell, which they probably won't.
I mean, it's the same idea with. I mean, again, pushing closer and closer to that idea of Stax, the silence effects, or the deafening silence that says players can only cast one spell per turn.
All right. So before we veer into Stax, we'll go back to mass land destruction. Just go back to mass land destruction real quick. I think I covered what my thoughts were. What did you guys have as far as mass land destruction thoughts?
Swazi, do you want to take it? Because you know I'm already pro MLD.
I'm very indifferent to it. I think it's a part of Magic, and I think it's kind of silly that we don't like allow it just because it's unfun. Losing is unfun. Like, I don't know, like it's part of the game. But I think what we've commented on is pretty strong points. Like, don't just destroy our lands to destroy our lands. Like, destroy our lands and win the game. Beat me. Okay,
Yeah,
like, I'm okay with you winning.
Yeah,
like just win.
Like EK always says, don't drag this out. You know.
Yeah, like if you're gonna make it, air quotes, unfun for me, I get it. I've lost before. It was unfun, but like, just make sure you don't make it another 45 minutes of me with no lands. Like that sucks. But be considerate.
from my experience, when the means to the end is I'm gonna drag this out for another like 20 turns and kill you guys with a 4/4 flyer that's unblockable. We'll kind of just say, okay, you win over the course of X amount of turns where none of us can do anything. Let's shuffle up and go again.
Yeah,
right.
That's typically how my like real life friends and I play. If that happens, we're not going to drag it out. We know it's going to get dragged out, so just like, yeah, we're good. What I was going to say, is there's if you think about all the strategies in Commander, pretty much every strategy, it's not uncommon or a faux pas to interact with, except maybe for graveyards and ramp strategies. If I'm playing, if you're playing a ramp strategy, it's pretty safe that you're just going to get to do whatever you want at all times, and no one's going to be able to stop you because it's a faux pas to stop you from playing a ramp strategy because you're getting more lands than usual. You're, creating mana rocks to then play like mana reflection and stuff like that. I can't interact with that. The fundamental strategy is to play a lot of lands. It's what's so different than interacting with one strategy versus another? Is it faux pas to say like, I play Archon of Valor's Switch, you can't play artifacts anymore?
Okay, that's fine.
How's the artifact deck? What's so different about saying you can't play a ramp strategy? I think that's where my perspective kind of gets controversial.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that I would rather play against land destruction than play against.
Yeah.
So yeah, if that's what we're deciding as the factor there, then I don't agree with that.
Yeah. It's just, a concept like land destruction hits more than just a ramp strategy.
Yeah, I mean, like, my view on it is land destruction is a multi-interaction strategy at the end of the day. If you cut off someone's resources, what else are they going to do? There's nothing else. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not going to say, like, I'm cutting off the lands and I'm just attacking in with a 1/1 bird and it's going to take X amount of turns to finally end the game because no one plays anything, but, like...
That is a way to end the game, though.
It is, granted, but... like,
are most people going to think that's not fun? If you were to do the whole thing and spend an hour and a half doing that, no.
Yeah, they won't like
you
it.
just say, "I'm going to kill you over the next 130 turns," and you can't interact with it.
Yeah, like
you just cut it off there.
Declare your intention. Show me how this. Show me the when people walk through a combo, it's like demonstrate.
Yeah, it's no different than demonstrating a loop.
Exactly.
It just so happens that your loop it functionally involves time walking the entire table 130 times or something.
So this is an interesting question. Do you think people as 1v1 I lose to land destruction, for example, I'm not as mad. But do you think the reason is because it's a multiplayer format and on average every person wins only 25% of the games they show up for, or they should, as opposed to 50% of the games where they should in a 1v1? Do you think that's why they get more mad about it?
Yeah, it's a multitude of people. Like you touched on in the beginning, Adam, right? Like, time and essence of the game. People like when they can play and do things. In a 1v1, your games are quicker. LD versus 1 means, okay, my lands are gone, we can shuffle it up and end it. But, like, LD in a multiplayer game affects the timing, especially when it's dragged out. But, like, demonstrate the loop. Show you're going to end it. Like, there is a place for land destruction and mass land destruction to be accepted as an interaction way for decks to perform. Yeah.
No, I just said that because Swazi brought up the point of, like, I've lost before, and he's right. And you lose a lot more in Commander because there's 3 other people.
Sure. And I think it's a little more expanding on that is, I think if anyone's sitting down with that mentality, they're mathematically incorrect sitting down at the table. There's a 75% chance they're going to lose this game. It's not up to just their play skill. Whereas in a 50-50 shot, like, the better player should win. Mm-hmm. Here, it's almost mathematically out of your hands. You're going to lose.
Yeah, that's actually a really interesting script that in perspective that no one says. They always say 25% chance to win, not 75% chance to lose.
Yeah, flip it around.
And I think that's another reason that on this land destruction topic that people want to have fun and aren't okay with Landy. Your chance of winning is already really low. So you at least want to enjoy being able to play the cards that will eventually lose, whereas playing no cards sucks.
I mean, chat's bringing up the same idea with Blood Moon and Modern right now. I mean, it's the same conversation with Blood Moon and Commander.
Mm-hmm.
People are running very greedy mana bases nowadays. Like so few basics. It makes my spine tingle how few basics people are running. So it functionally is the same thing. If you're not playing a red deck, you can't cast anything.
Yeah.
And like Blood Moon's a fairly common card, all things considered.
Mm-hmm. Extremely.
You're in all of the formats you're more likely to see a Blood Moon than an Armageddon or a Cataclysm or a Cataclysmic Gear Hulk or something like that.
So, like, how do you, when you class? Okay, so this is kind of like the in between area. How do you classify Blood Moon effects?
You beat me to the question. Yeah.
Personally, I wouldn't quite classify it as an LD strat, obviously, because you're not removing the lands, but I would classify it as in the Stax era, because you're affecting the ability for the players to play, which I think is valid, though, right? You need an answer against greedy strategies.
You're changing the output of their resources that they're not. I don't want to say they're not expecting it, but it's just not. Their resources aren't producing the intended outcome that they were hoping for.
Yeah.
And chances are, if you're playing a Blood Moon, you're completely fine with it. You wouldn't just play a Blood Moon to play a Blood Moon. If anything, Blood Moon is going to shore up a strategy. Like, you know, if you're playing mono red, Blood Moon doesn't do a damn thing for you.
No,
at all.
It's a win activator for you because you're setting back your opponent's ability to interact with your board state. Like Goblins, right? Goblins wants it. They don't care. They want to go fast, and they want to limit how their Krenko is going to be dealt with, or their Skirt Prospector. Easy and done. But like,
okay,
I guess.
So we can. I guess this is a good segue to go into the Stax part. So
okay, yeah, I was gonna say I think that's where I was headed. That works.
Okay, so Stax. Okay, I'll give you a little story. When Adam was a new commander, oh, well, not new, but when I came back to commander, I decided like. I had this Derevi deck, and for those of you who don't know Derevi, it's a Bant commander, and Bant is like a pretty control-oriented color combo. But I wanted to build Derevi as Wizard Tribal, which I did, and it had a pretty funny win con too. It was like Intruder Alarm plus Stony Brook Schoolmaster plus Azami. I think that was the latest as tap a wizard draw card. So you would basically make as many wizards as you wanted, draw as many cards as you felt like, and that's how you won the game. I decided that I wanted to try it as a Stax deck, and I built the deck. And the only person who was and I played it in 2 games, and the only person at the table that was annoyed was me. And that's maybe, I realized that I don't like playing Stax. That's not saying I don't like playing with Stax cards. I will play with Stax cards in my other decks. For example, when I had Oketra built, God Eternal Oketra, it's the War of the Spark one, I played some Stax cards in the deck. I played Imposing Sovereign. I played Thalia Heretic Cathar. I played
the amount of times, like even when we've all played, like over the last couple weeks, the amount of times that the Thalias have single-handedly won or completely swung games is unreal.
They've gone up.
I think the biggest one I played was the one I played the most. The attack I played the most was even Mind Sensor. That card's a beating.
That's a good one.
So I like
that's the OG Hull Breacher / opposition agent.
I like Stax cards like that. It's like you can still play the game. It's just you're restricted a little bit. I don't like the can't aspects, like Rule of Law, for example. I don't like that kind of Stax. But other people probably don't either. But some people are just averse to all of these things. But that is one of the things that White does the best. That is part of their identity. They are a limiting. They have an answer for every problem, basically.
I was talking to someone the other day, and we basically boiled this conversation down to White's not great at a lot of things, but they're really great at making everyone else not great at a lot of things.
Right, that's the point. Yeah. They bring you down to their level.
White in essence, as its color, is about equality. It's gonna be on its level with you. You won't be above it.
They
play on their
terms. Nice, fair Magic. They make you play nice, fair Magic.
They're gonna shove fair Magic down your throat. They will. Exactly. That's why, like, all the ramp that they're printing for White is catch-up ramp. It's not ramp.
So I think, as far as that goes, like, I like the White Stax pieces.
It's funny because that's what White does. Everybody doesn't like Landy, doesn't like Stax, but in all fairness, White plays Magic like Richard Garfield intended.
Yeah, and I think you should. I think the player base should play some of these if they are using white in their deck, if it's appropriate for the situation.
Well, I'd even stretch more than that, right? Like, not
Like,
just
I'm not
play
gonna-
it, but like be accepting of it.
Well,
Like-
I'll put it this way: I'm not gonna put Thalia Guardian Threeman in my own deck where I'm a spell slinger deck. That doesn't make any sense. For
No,
example,
of course not. But
But-
like,
I mean, I think I've proven like literally every single time I've played it in ladies, it's like secretly one of the best cards in the deck.
oh, for sure.
absolutely.
Because you're a combat deck and you want to stop interaction. If people can't pay
Yeah.
for the spells, then that's fine.
I mean, same idea with a card like Lavinia, who is in the other quote unquote Stax color blue. You can't spend 0 mana to cast your spells.
Yeah, we're
Otherwise,
playing
they're
fair.
instantly
We're
gone.
playing fair Magic.
You have to pay for things. No cheating mana. Like none of that. Just get that out of your head. If we're sitting down, you're gonna have to play not how I want you to play, but how we're quote unquote supposed to play.
Yeah, the truistic effect of how, like Swazo said, Richard Garfield intended Magic to be. Tap your lands. I mean, if they're not, MLD'd, but tap your lands and play your spells for the appropriate price. Like, if people keep shying away to this notion that MLD is not acceptable, that LD is not acceptable, that Stax isn't acceptable, you're kicking a color into the ground and driving away what could potentially be another great piece where cards could be printed from, and lessening your commander format experience. Right, at the end of the day, you're ruining what potentially could be more interesting deck archetypes you could be exposed to in gameplay that could come about from it.
Yeah, and a lot of this boils down to I'm interacting in a very like polarizing way with your strategy. Like
Yeah.
white has the means to house every single strategy in the format,
Yeah.
bar none.
There's entire formats. Like right now, I'm pretty sure after the bannings, Death and Taxes is the best deck in Legacy, or if not the best deck, one of the best decks, doing exactly what Commander players hate exclusively. Okay.
Okay.
I mean,
So- Yeah. Good.
I mean, I was gonna say it's kind of where it stems from. Like Commander, in a lot of respects, is Legacy light. It's Singleton Legacy, is
Well-
an even like more
well-
concise way to put it.
Well, vintage, really. But I guess kind of.
I mean, depends on the day.
Okay.
You get the idea. You get the
Not
idea.
on Tuesdays.
So- I think So that and also. So I said I mentioned White's really good at removing a lot of stuff, but why does White have to be solely reactive when they can be proactive too?
It's funny you say white. You allude to this concept that white is the color of removal. Well, the professor did a video like a month and a half ago with the antithesis that white is not the color of removal anymore. They're just known as it because of historical context.
Yeah,
It's
I think
It's really changed over time.
Yeah, well, okay. White historically has been known as the color of removal because of cards like Wrath of God, Swords of Plowshares, Path to Exile, that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
Like,
your cataclysms, everything like that.
It had this notoriety for doing those cards because of those cards specifically.
And if you think about it, a lot like all of those cards are pretty old cards, all things considered.
Yeah, they've been around very much since near the beginning of Magic. Look at Wrath of God, prime example.
Yeah, it's like one of the original cards ever printed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And they really haven't done that over the last while. If you really think about it, they haven't gone to that quote unquote extreme with the removal for white. I don't know. You could make the argument that white's good enough. They have they have the Wrath of God, all those kinds of cards. We need to catch the other colors up, quote unquote.
and they did that.
Yeah.
Hard.
Feed the Swarm.
Black has exile effects now.
Yeah. And they have you have the toxic delusion or delusions. You have
Like
exile
Chronic
in white now. Or sorry, exile in blue. You have like targeted actual removal in blue.
Like Reality Shift is one of my favorite blue removal spells, and that exile is a card something, and that's not something that blue usually does.
Yeah.
Granted, it replaces it with something else. But
So I guess this is like a fairly like natural segment. So like, if white isn't as good at all of these things, quote unquote, and the things that it is really good at like aren't as socially acceptable in wider circles, then like, why would you play white? What's the point? What's its place? Like, what am I supposed to do with this color now?
Oh well, I mean, aside from splashing in all the other colors, which is, in my opinion, white is still, in my opinion, the best splash color because you get a lot of great stuff.
I mean, if you're just splashing it for Smothering Tithe, Path, Swords,
Even Mind Sensor.
yeah, even just like getting a Rathagod and green for your green deck is probably pretty good too.
Yeah, or I mean, Knight of the Reliquary exists in those two colors in my Selesnya deck, so like
It does, yeah.
why would you not? White seems pretty good there. Like,
But that is a green-white card, not a white.
correct, it's
card.
not a solely white card. So what about the non-white Stax effects? Why don't I think people hate? I think people might dislike those a bit more.
Well, like the
are you-
artifact ones.
Yeah, we're including the artifact ones. Yeah.
Oh,
So like we're
and,
talking. So let's talk about stuff like Price of Glory, Back to Basics, Choke. I know that's like a big one for Swazi. Sorry, not to dig into old wounds.
I just can't let it resolve. That's all.
There's
Other than that,
a-
I'm screwed.
what's the red card that I'm thinking of? If you tap a land for mana on
Price
not
of Glory.
your turn,
Price of
it's
Glory.
destroyed.
I think that's
Yeah.
Price of Glory.
Oh,
Yeah.
why did I think that? Why did I think that was called? Why did I think that card was called like War's Toll or something like that?
A worst toll is when you tap a land, you have to tap everything. Oh, when you tap a land for mana, you all your lands tap.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's whenever
Okay,
an opponent
okay.
taps, they tap everything.
Okay.
And
I
it
was
also
confusing the two.
I would agree these are more. I would agree that the non-white Stax effects like that are more hated by the player base than the white ones.
Can I point to something pretty quick?
Like, have you read Chains of Mephistopheles? That card is awful to play against.
Yeah, it's also $2,000 now.
Right. I'm
It's
saying,
so
hey,
awful. We raised the price.
or like Tabernacle of Pendrell Veil. That's not even in a spell.
the land. Yeah.
Can I want to bring this up real quick. So for the longest time, EDH Rec has had this like top saltiest cards.
Oh, the salt list.
Yeah.
Yes.
Bring it up.
Yeah,
What we got?
and for the longest time, the majority of like the top 10, 15, 20, they were all white cards. That's
Now-
not the case. That's
Now
not
they're
the
not
case
anymore.
anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're seeing stuff like-
They're all red and blue cards.
So
and Vorinclex.
bearing that in mind, then, are we at a point where I guess white is not the salt color, and these strategies can be more played? We can see more of these cards to really bring it in. I mean, personally speaking, like I would love to see more white decks kicking around with a Stax or MLD strategy to lead to the end game. You know, a good ends to reason. I want to see more strategies bring that in. I want to see more decks bring it out, more ways of interaction.
What I think the causality for such a shift in the salt list is blue and red have just become more popular, if not the most popular colors to a degree. Like you're seeing a lot more blue and red in Vorinclex than white.
Oh, I hope I never see that card.
Because
I'm thankful-
the major discourse is, well, you know, white's just quote unquote not that great. You know, it doesn't do it. Actual words that I've read, it doesn't do card advantage, doesn't draw cards, doesn't ramp, doesn't do anything like that. And I mean, that's because white gets their incremental advantage elseways. But
Mhm.
I do think white is one of the best one-for-one colors, period. And that does inherently give them a problem in a free-for-all four-player game.
yeah.
Because a 1-for-1
You're-
isn't good enough in a 4-player format.
Yeah, you on average your cards have to go, theoretically go 3 for 1.
Or at least 1-for-2.
Yeah, some kind of multiple.
You
Like
need
you
a
can have those
trade-off.
cards that are you can have those cards that are 1-for-1. Like Assassin's Trophy is a very acceptable 1-for-1 card.
Yeah. But people are going to look for areas where they're going to get more back for playing that one card because it generates value. Value is the name of the game to get ahead. I mean, look at ramp, right? Like, I'll just retouch on it. Like, Ramp is an uncontested strategy in Commander, where it puts you far ahead of the other players. But land destruction is not accepted. But hey, ramp is fine. You can have 10 more lands than me and play every spell in your deck, but
it's funny that you mentioned that specifically, because I want to finish on this tweet that I read from Kristen the other day.
do it.
Yada yada. How many more EDH discourses do you think we need to be before people think it's more socially acceptable type of deck that's a mid-range one that uses landfall and has a combo finisher? And it's what's stifling people from trying other strategies. There's constant molding about this strategy or that, and let me tell you, all of these are different parts of the rock paper scissors decks that make up a meta, which is completely correct. At the end of the day, a meta is going to boil down to rock paper scissors. No one ever moans about innocuous mid-range value decks that are often the real issue, as people are going out of their way to feel like they have to beat them. At the end of the day, that's the boogeyman.
Yeah, the boogeyman really is the value deck.
Yeah.
And Purpose. Because I don't like that card.
I know you don't.
That's fair.
So all in all, mass land destruction and mass land destruction have their place. So make sure make sure maybe you should try to find ways to incorporate them into your decks. Stax also has its place, and white is not the most annoying Stax color. So use
Apparently
those cards.
not. Yeah. Apparently not.
Break out the social norms. Challenge the new norms of what the new Stax colors are, the new LD colors are. Bust out that Armageddon, bring out that land tax, bring out that stasis or winter orb.
After having a discussion.
Yes.
But I will say, at the end of the day, when I sleeve up a deck, I expect to be interacted with. I expect that.
I don't expect you not to play a card. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I expect that my strategy is going to have roadblocks or something like it. If I'm playing a deck, I don't want to again, my opinion, I don't want to be left to my own devices. That's not fun.
Then I'm playing solitaire. Yeah.
Yeah. Where's the decision making? Where's the interaction? If I'm playing a graveyard deck, maybe I don't need to play Rest in Peace, because my play group is, might not like that. But there is no better card at hosing a graveyard strategy than Rest in Peace.
Well, Leyline of the Void.
Yeah.
But yeah, I
You
think
get the idea.
perfect. What EK said is exactly the reason I took my Urza deck apart. Those artifacts, Winter Orbs, Static Orb, they literally made it so I'm the only person playing the game. And yeah, when you're holding a grip of counter spells, can tap anything on the table for blue mana, and nobody else can do anything, you win a lot of those games, probably all of them. But it honestly wasn't very fun at all. So I stacks responsibly. I guess that's the way to put it.
There you go. And don't show up on my table with stasis. We're gonna have words.
To be fair, stasis plus Smothering Tithe is a viable way for a means to an end.
Oh, stop it.
Get out of here.
Do have Armageddon.
Coming from a person who doesn't want to play blue, I don't want to hear nothing
You can't
about
cast stasis. Exactly, don't worry.
I've actually won multiple games because of stasis Smothering Tithe in Cube.
Oh, well.
So, different format, but
He
same.
betrays himself.
Yeah. I'm a different player playing other formats.
All right. Well, faux pas and white. What do you guys think? If faux pas, stacks, and land destruction were more accepted, would white be better? You've heard our answers. I mean, I'm going to stand on the hill forever and say yes.
Yeah, every time.
Yeah. Oh, Adam, you got any closing things to add on for this?
No, not. Oh, yes. Also, don't show up with Static Orb and Winter Orb in my game. We will have words.
Little does Adam know that I've secretly shown up to a half dozen of our games over the time that we've played Commander together with a Winter Orb in my decks ready to go.
Fair.
Not happy about this.
With great stacks comes great responsibility.
Oh, sorry. If you want to try a Stax deck, that's actually really fun. Rorikthar Stax is actually very fun. I would highly recommend.
There you go, fun Stax deck. EK, my man, any closing words on our faux pas and white?
I gave him.
You gave
I
him?
gave
Alright.
him. Yeah.
Swazi?
Blow more lands up. I don't know.
Thank you. Thank you.
I think it's a
Beautiful
good thing.
words. Stacks responsibly, blow your lands up. There's the closing tagline.
Blow
today.
your lands up?
No,
No,
blow more
More
lands
lands up.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. I just wanted to clarify.
You got your clarification. Alrighty, friends. Well, you can find us on Twitter at Draw for Turn and YouTube at Draw for Turn. We post weekly discussion topics, so drop a follow, get in the conversation. Adam, where can the fine people find you?
Twitter at DES_Adam N. I'll just give shout outs to the comic book store in Glassboro, New Jersey. I haven't been back to my other stomping grounds in a little bit, but they helped me get my $30 legacy deck together, so thanks for that.
Awesome. EK, my dude, what about you?
Same place as always, everywhere on the internet at EK Plays Cards, and on our Discord, which we should plug because our Discord has been popping off lately. And
Yep, it gets pretty busy in there.
I would love to see it go even crazier. But shout out to my local game store, Games Plus, and Mount Prospect. Shout out to my Twitter local game stores, Harry, Liz, and Mark Nestico, because they bling out all my decks when I can't find cards locally. That's it.
Swazi,
Unpredictable.
Got at Swazo DFT for Draw for Turn on Instagram, Twitter, and I'll give a shout out to Harry's too. He hooked me up with this mana crypt that I got here. So
Woo.
and my Ristic study. Yeah.
Ooh.
Does that go into the stacks category?
Yeah,
Naughty,
technically,
naughty.
it's
Yeah, it's Stacks.
Yeah, it's tax card.
There
I
we
think people
go.
hate that card. I don't think people hate that card as much as the person saying, "Do you pay one?"
Same idea, right? One and the
Basically.
same.
It's one of the same.
I don't make the rules, I just enforce them.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Beautiful. Friends, you can find me on Twitch, Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram at AstrosFlame. Check out our Discord. Get in on the Commander action. It's always popping on Friday nights. We're going to have some fun stuff coming up soon. We're trying to plan some fun event Commander themes coming up in the next few months. So we'll have a little link to the Discord and comments or whatever, and just check it out. Come play with us. Come talk with us. We literally talk everything in the Discord. And shout out to Harry Tarantula and Nextridge Games for keeping me out of trouble and making me buy more cards that I apparently do well on boxes for. Alrighty, friends. Well, as always, remember to untap, upkeep, support your local game store, wear your mask, and as always, draw for turn.